What's going on? We are in the dead heat. We about 3 weeks out, 20, 21 days, 20 days of the most important election of our lifetime, whether you know it or not. So if you silent, if you just sitting back riding the curve, if you just sitting back being a spectator, you doing the wrong thing. So before I even get to the purpose of this video, which is a response to JAKEAFELLA on the 810 News Media Group, and there's been some back and forth. I said I'm gonna start telling the story because it's a lot of politics that happen off the camera, off of the internet. People be throwing shade. There's been some back and forth between me and JAKEAFELLA for some time. Not only on a personal level, because it's people we know directly, and that I want certain stuff I'll never discuss online, just because of the nature and just where I come from and the people. I'm not like that. Believe it or not, I'm not messy like that. Most of the time when you hear me do something or I'm saying something online, it's generally because I'm responding to somebody who put something online or somebody that's trying to, basically, deceive people about me or speak on me. And that's typically what's getting the response. But he dropped, I guess, an interview on the bump, and he's talking about voting and he's talking about Trump. Now, for people who don't know, I'm the former ethnic vice chair of the Michigan Republican Party of 2016, the winning ticket of the Michigan Republican Party. They haven't won since I basically been with the party, and that group, that dream team group, has been with the party. All right, we ran with Ronald Romney McDaniel at the convention in Lansing. I got the most votes, even more than Ronald Romney McDaniel, and I've been a precinct delegate for over a decade, like from 2010, 2011 on to 2020. I've been involved in international politics. I'm a Zionist, clearly pro-Israel, so I'm definitely siding with Israel, but my heart is for all people. You know what I'm saying? So I got Arabs that I'm cool with. I even know Arabs that's for Israel, Arab Israelis, you know what I'm saying, that want peace. I know Muslim Arabs that were in the Abraham Accords with the UAE and scholars that love Israel and tell the truth. So, don't buy into the Arab versus Israel Jew thing. There's just some people that's anti-Semitic and they represent hate. And those type of people, those type of whoever, if they represent hate, them ain't the type of people you need to deal with, period. And that also can lead to some of the street politics. Some people pick and choose. Some people want to put pressure on certain relationships. So just let this be aired out now. I'm a man. I stand on what I stand on. And I'm going to stand for what I stand for no matter what. This is my word. This is what I feel, the convictions that I feel like I have in God. And that's what it's going to be. So I ain't ducking no smoke. I ain't ducking my tail for nothing, nobody. It is what it is. But I've actually been involved. I've actually been elected. So when people need to understand that, I'm not just somebody on here. I've also been to grad school for public administration, nonprofit management at Oakland University. So I just want to kind of put some context out there. And I've been involved in activism for, almost 20 years, basically. Got my own organization, Urban Zion University, Zion U. So there's been some issues with JAKEAFELLA when it comes to the whole political thing. Some powers to be has tried to get Jake more involved in politics. He's gotten involved. I actually originally was working with Ira Dorsey. I think it was the Sheriff Allen campaign. I think that was the first time me and Ira Dorsey did some photos and stuff like that. And I basically, because I'm about the culture, and I included him, and then before you know it, he got more vocal, been involved in politics. And I'm gonna talk about the differences between JAKEAFELLA and Ira Dorsey. I'm gonna talk about it. All right, I'm finna lay a lot of stuff down. This is probably one of the most important videos that I'm gonna make in reference to my hometown of Flint, because ever since I moved, I've been gone from Flint for almost 20 years. So when I talk about being in the Fifth Ward, you're talking about 2000, 2001. You know what I'm saying? You talking about when I was on the South Side, 2004, 2003. I basically was in college at Baker College in 2005. So my history with Flint go way, way, way back, especially when I talk about certain neighborhoods where I'm from. And I'm going to be real. When I was in the Fifth Ward, when I was on Dayton, you definitely love the Dayton family music. But I'm going to be honest, a lot of the Dayton family members ain't respected like that in the street. They not somebody that they ain't no muscle. tough guys like that. And Ira Dorsey was never really a role model to me. He was kind of the opposite for people who really was in the street and knew what was going on. And I'm not here to bash him or bash them, but I am going to speak some truth about a lot of stuff. All right. When I look at Flint rappers outside of MC Breed, you know, JAKEAFELLA, I would say Jake the Flake. I like that old school Jake the Flake, bro. So I'm sorry, bro. I know you positive. You trying to, but that old school Jake the Flake, bro, man, that just resonate with me. You know what I'm saying? Like that song Lawless, man, that's one of the hottest. To me, there's not another song that resonate with me more than that song Lawless, bro. Like that gets you in that. That's that real Flint. And see, and I got to air this out because these are street politics. To a lot of you young guys in Flint, most of you younger, you know, and I've been gone for a while, so you don't know me, and that's cool. That's fine. Some of your older brothers, older cousins, and people know me. Please understand, if I'm sharing my life story, that's just because I'm sharing my life story. I actually have an organization. I'm an activist. I do this. So any conversations online, this is all promoting my agenda, bro. This is promoting what I do. I actually have a brand. So this ain't just for talk. Appreciate you helping me be relevant. Appreciate the alley hoop. You know what I'm saying? Specifically talking to Timmy Greenhouse Watson. He also goes by Troy Lamar, whatever. And look, I don't care about using your government name, bro. This Flint, we all know each other. We all can find out whatever on each other. But at the end of the day, I only have positive history with you, young man. Positive history. I done been up close and personal with you. Tag you at the house where Ro, my god brother, be at. So you know I done pulled up to your people crib in the 5th. You know what I'm saying? I think City Boy, that's Quell little brother, he know me. You know what I'm saying? So he from the West. They from the West. You know what I'm saying? And they navigated over that way. You know what I'm saying? So, but when it comes to, you know, any type of experiences that I discuss, it's for a purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm actually telling my story because for a long time, I've never told my story. And, you know, if you don't tell your story, somebody else will try to tell your story. Like somebody was inboxing me telling me, Timmy was telling me, Watson, that I basically left Longfellow, went to a training school or something like that, and then left Longfellow. Well, when I left Longfellow, bro, I went down to Stevenson Middle School in Atlanta. So that when I left Longfellow, that's where I went. And I was only down there for 8th grade, came back and went to Northern. I was on the north side of Flint, living on Holbrook. That's where I was at. So I had moved from the west side. I lived on the north side. And then eventually I ended up living on, you know what I'm saying, Jackson, which was in the 5th. You know what I'm saying? So it's my history and everything that I talk about is real. The people is real. They know me. So if you know, you know. And I didn't grow up in the internet age. I'm so glad I didn't. Because most of the stuff that I've done, most of the things that I've been through, you don't know because it's not documented. And if you wasn't there, you don't know. So anybody that ain't never hustled with me, you ain't flipped nothing with me, you ain't never slid with me, you ain't never did certain stuff with me, you can't speak on me, and you shouldn't be speaking on me because you don't know me, period. You know what I'm saying? And when I talk about, because Queese, I see you came up, but ask Barty, Queese, if we went by Nook crib on the north side on Graceline, and if the dude that killed Breon, was he not in the house with us? He was on run. This is after he did it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just telling you, there's a lot of stuff that I've been up close and personal with, and stories that I know I never told. I never said anything. Dudes, y'all be thinking it's tough, ain't tough. Rappers you think is this and they ain't. Like, man, bro, I was one of the first young dudes in Flint that was off the porch early. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was born into it. My mother went to prison. My father been to prison. My dad introduced me to the game. So this ain't something that I'm just talking, bro. Like, I actually live this. You know what I'm saying? And if you my family, you my friends, you know. So it's never about a validation. Can't nobody validate something they ain't never lived with me. You ain't never lived it with me. I'm not validating. I'm not seeking your approval. Like, what that sound like? You ain't never flipped nothing with me, bro. Bro, it's what's understood don't gotta be explained. You know what I'm saying? And I stand on that. And some stuff, unless it's in the proper context, I don't even bring it on Facebook. Boy, I don't talk about certain stuff. If it was real beef, you would never know. You know what I'm saying? If you about it, you gonna get about it. The difference between a king and a real man and boys is action. If you about what you about, stand on it. Be about it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how I am, period. You know what I'm saying? But there's a long history, and I realize a lot of young guys in Flint don't know the history. They don't know the history. So some stuff, if I don't tell it, you probably won't. Cause I know, man, it's a lot of my friends, and like they won't ever talk on certain stuff. They probably don't even want me talking on certain stuff. But you know, if it's my life and it's my story, I'm gonna stand on certain things. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna talk about a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna clear up a lot of stuff. People that was involved in things. You know what I'm saying? People saying this and saying that, and we gonna clear it up. But if you have never did nothing with me, I have no history with Timmy Watson. I have positive history with him. No gangsterism, no street stuff. I seen him around with some younger people that was from over that way, but I've never dealt with him in the street. We ain't never been on that type of time. So when I was in Flint, when I was on the 5th, look, put it like this. Mari, who I posted is Jamar Evans, when he's in prison now. Okay, Michelle brother, who's married to my cousin Berlin. When I first went to the 5th, Mari was out. You know what I'm saying? I remember being on Newell Street in my brown Regal, getting out, hustling, and Mari would be right there, bro. And I thought it would be a problem because, you know, I'm not from around here. I'm not a Fifth Ward dude. I live there, but I'm from the West Side. I'm always claim that, the best side. You know what I'm saying? So, but it was all love. And then Mari ended up staying on Concord Street with me. You know what I'm saying? And then he ended up kicking it with my sister, Tanae. Tanae Atkins. I don't know what her last name is now. She married the Bootleg brother. But ask Tanae, who was the ombudsman for Flint, if Mari was not on Concord Street. Did he not stay on Concord Street? She had confirmed all of that. You know what I'm saying? But this is history. So some of these young dudes need a history lesson. You know what I'm saying? They don't got history. They don't know the streets. That's why, man, I grew up in a Flint that we never followed other people. We never followed people from Detroit. So when ID did the song about you ain't from Detroit, dog, I felt that, but it's not even without saying where I'm coming from, bro. We never looked up to other people. And I seen a Flint that had money. I seen a Flint that was more together. We was hustlers. We was fly. You want to be like your older cousins, you know what I'm saying? Your big brother. You want to be and step out like that. And I never had no real OGs. So everything I learned in the street, I did it on my own. And I had to come up in it. You know what I'm saying? Even though I had certain people that was down that way, and if you know them, then you know my people. You know what I'm saying? On Concord Street, from there, and everything else. You know what I'm saying? But overall, it's just sad to me. Flint don't really have the real cultural understanding, and they don't have the education, especially the younger people. So, and that applies to voting. You know what I'm saying? It applies to voting. JAKEAFELLA dropped this interview, and I'm going to talk about how all of this stuff, but it's some street politics, again, got to get aired out. And Talisha James, got to talk to you, sweetheart, for real. See baby mama. Now, you know Corey Wilson was my baby, but stop coming on my page objecting everything that I do. I'm starting to think that's all you do is come to object what I do. Now, you know, we go way, way back, and I miss you too. Obviously, you miss me because you got to come on my page and say certain things. But you know I'm going to stand on business. You know what my beliefs, I'm not going to compromise. We voting for Trump. You need to consider voting for Trump. You don't like this high inflation. Guess what? There was no inflation under Trump. I don't want to get ahead of my political speech and what I got to say, but there was no inflation, Talisha James, under Trump. There was none. So how can y'all talk about Kamala Harris going to do this and do that and talk about plans when we got an actual 4-year record of a person and what their leadership was like? It was world peace. There wasn't the wars with Ukraine and Russia, Israel and Hamas. You didn't have all of this going on. There was no inflation. I got gas for 90-some cents for the first time in my life. 94 cents. No inflation. Black unemployment lowest. Black people getting money, stacking money, the whole 9 yards. And I'm going to get into all of this. Black people got to get off the plantation. I don't care if it's the Democrat or Republican plantation. I don't care if it's the Democrat or Republican. We got to learn how to be independent thinkers. We got to learn how to research the subjects and the topics. And we got to stand on business. So if you want big government and welfare all your life, and that's all you want, and I'm not saying you don't use certain things as a stepping stone. I use public housing, the housing commission when I went to school. You stop hustling and was, you know, working my way up before I bought my own crib. I did that. I went through that struggle. But don't you know, that generationally, it's people that stuck on welfare and stuck on Social Security and SSI, and they stuck on this stuff for forever, generationally. Don't you know how many people told me to sit back, not even go to college, and just collect unemployment and collect SSI, Social Security? Bro, these are real cultural phenomenons in our community that we don't always talk about, and we don't have enough people to tell us because everybody's trying to block the information. They don't want you to get exposed. And then somebody like me who come from where I come from, they really try to discredit me. You know what I'm saying? Every time it's a real serious election cycle, stuff kind of heat up in my hometown. And I don't even be intended for it to heat up. And next thing you know, I'm debating stuff and I'm talking to people. I'm going viral over stuff that, in my opinion, I'm going to make it be about an educational moment. I'm going to make it be about the real fentanyl crisis. I'm going to make it be about voting for Trump. But more importantly, just voting. Because one of the problems is our people don't really vote that much anyway. They're called low propensity voters. They don't get out and vote, period. You know, and we got to do something about that, Talisha James. So if you're going to come holler at me, sweetheart, show love, support, try to find some common ground with me. I don't want to just, you know what I'm saying, debate with you and conflict with you. You know what I'm saying? I know you love me. We go back from, what, 6th, 7th grade? You know what I'm saying? You was my baby before C had you. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. We can put that out there now. You know what I'm saying? But look, man, for real, C would be voting for Trump. For real. Yeah, real gang. I don't know what's wrong with these gangsters from Flint that's all trying to tuck their tail all of a sudden and don't want to support the mob for real, for real. Don't want to support real people or real men. Don't want to support, you know what I'm saying, Trump, who they know is being politically persecuted, who they know the feds then came after for political purposes, who they know, you know what I'm saying, then had his business set up and sabotaged and everything else. People that lied on this man and tried to Me Too him, and y'all gonna sit back and just let this happen? And look, what they're doing to him is what they used to do to us, to stop us from voting, to prevent us from voting, to scare us, use the political system against us. That's what mass incarceration is all about. You know how many people did that? And Kamala Harris was a part of that. And by the way, she's not even a real sister like African American, man. Go do the research on her history. It's coming out now. She's not even like that. And neither is Obama. So we've really never had a real black inner city African American president and vice president. I'm sorry. I do think we have the proper candidates. You can name a plethora of them. Some of them deceased now, but it's a plenty of them. But they've never been in that high office before. And both political parties have prevented this from happening. So we got a problem. No matter who wins this election, we got a lot of work to do. And it starts with me and you. It starts with me and you. All right. So, again, have to clear the street politics out with Timmy Greenhouse Watson. All right. Whatever his name is. Don't want to use your government name. But, hey, no beef. We only got positive history, brother. You know what I'm saying? I looked out for you. You know that. We didn't, came face to face, shoulder to shoulder. And me, James Mayfield, it was no problem. And shout out to James Mayfield, off the mud, out of the mud. Go holler at him. Do his podcast. That's my G in real life, though. I don't do politics with him. You know what I'm saying? And I already told him, like, some politics I don't do because if the relationship is genuine, I don't get involved in politics with them because I really support them. You know what I'm saying? But support his podcast. I think Juantez Davis, we talked for a while last night. He said he actually did the podcast with Out the Mud. You're doing successful. It's coming up. Keep it going, bro. You know, keep your foot on their neck. You know what I'm saying? But basically, let's get to the whole point of what this video is about. Now that I have to clear a lot of the political garbage and stuff out the way, people who don't know me, people want to slander and talk about me. At the end of the day, they never had that smoke. They never had that problem when I was an ignorant young man in Flint. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a whole lot of opportunity to clear that type of energy out if you really about that. All right, you wait till a square get 3 business degrees in the MBA. Bro, I would look silly trying to stoop to your level on that. But you know it's in me, it ain't on me. You violate, I demonstrate. But that's already understood. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But I'm about betterment, education, Urban Zion University, YouTube. Check me out. Look me up. Now, I've been an outspoken voice for Republicanism in Flint. I'm one of the few Republicans that was elected to office with the Michigan Republican Party. I'm one of the few black, Republican delegates from Flint. And right now it's just me and Maurice Davis that basically is for Trump. You know what I'm saying? I think he said, I think one of the ladies from 810 News Media Group was like, they listened to Maurice Davis, the former councilman, and was like, yeah, he said that a lot of the Republican cities are doing good, and look at a lot of the Democrat cities. And he's right. It's about a difference in values. It's about a difference in politics, a difference in policy, you know what I'm saying, of why these cities and why these things are the way that they are, you know what I'm saying? And for so long in Flint, we're going to talk about it because one of the things JAKEAFELLA said in this interview, okay, I listened to it. I'm listening to it now. I honestly thoroughly took a real sensitive ear to the things he was saying. I'm not trying to, be partisan at this. I'm just going to call out some things and the stuff we agree on, which is not a lot, but I can get to the stuff we agree on first because it's not a whole lot. But the things we do agree on, I'm with Haiti. I don't think that the racist rhetoric or, dividing Africans and not standing for African individuals, I do not believe that that's the type of rhetoric that helps us. I think we need more of our brothers and sisters in the diaspora here with us. I always said that if it was all Africans coming across the border, they would have been shut it down. You know what I'm saying? But you cannot excuse illegal immigration no matter what. That destroys a country from within, and it does create a burden on resources and a lot of other things. Okay, you don't have to get into the rhetoric. It's just common sense. If people keep coming across the border, you don't know who they are, what they bringing with them. You don't know what they're doing, where they from. And like they said, you generally are getting the worst people. Think about it. The most desperate people are trying to get up. Why are they so desperate? It's a reason for it. Okay, so I listened to, he started off basically saying it was an outcry that he did the interview to reach his people. Basically, he was trying to have people be informed about the votes. And I respect that. I respect Jake being in. And I'm going to even give context on, when I was really hustling and I was in Flint. Because, again, this is statute of limitations. This ain't nothing that, I can be tried for nothing. But I have to tell my story because for a long time I never have. And I don't want other people to try to tell it for me. But when I was really hustling in the Fifth and I was hustling in Dayton, for real, like Jake was one of the people that you thought about like, man, he went hard. And if he made it out, maybe I can make it out too. For real. So when I say I'm proud of Jake, I'm proud of where he come from, knowing the people we know that are mutual, knowing how he really come from that cloth, I respect dude. So let's just say that. I respect him way more than I respect Ira Dorsey. And I love Ira Dorsey lyrically. He's our Tupac. Ira Dorsey, Bootleg, is our Tupac. He the Midwest Tupac, hands down when it come to lyrics and it come to that heartfelt music. Man, Ira Dorsey he's number one when it come to that. I don't know if you could find a better lyricist from the hood, like for real. Like he that deal. I think I even heard Blue Da Vinci said that was the first his first song he did was with Bootleg. So, you know what I'm saying? I keep up on a lot of this stuff. And, so I would say even MC Bree was right on picking Ira Dorsey for his lyrical ability and his creativeness and, just his artist appeal. But I will also say Bootleg probably wouldn't be with, MC Bree wouldn't really support a lot of the other bull crap ID got himself into and just his lack of work ethic. And he really wasn't as successful as a solo artist. You know what I'm saying? It was always the collective, FBI, the Dayton family that really gave him the most notoriety. And that's the opposite with JAKEAFELLA. I would say JAKEAFELLA is more, even though he almost is like an inductee to the Dayton family. You know what I'm saying? I think he has more independent personal hits. But when you listen to the lyrics, he rapped just as good as them to a large extent. But Ira Dorsey was not somebody that I would say just overall I looked up to. And I'm going to get into, a lot of that. You know what I'm saying? But MC Breed really kind of orchestrated a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? Even Big Meech is free. And it's a whole story. Like, man, back in the day, that's exactly who we was plugged in with. You know what I'm saying? Like, most of the people who was plugged in with Ira Dorsey or plugged in with MC Breed was plugged in to BMF. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't even know who them BMF dudes was. I just knew I was getting cocaine from them. And that's just me. You know what I'm saying? We was young dudes getting pure cocaine. You know what I'm saying? From these dudes. And this is old. This ain't nothing that could be tried. But I'm just giving you facts. You know what I'm saying? And the people that I was connected with them. But even before that, MC Breed was he was known for never having a drought. Breed never had a drought. I don't know. It was like he was just plugged in, man. Like Breed was always like that. So even before I tapped into them and knew what was going on, MC Breed was always the connect. Like he was always, the person that you dealt with on street level stuff. You know what I'm saying? And you respected that legacy. You know what I'm saying? And Jake the Flake was just in the hood. He was like the gritty one, like the one that, like nigga, he talked that talk, like for real. Like you talking about spicy rap, like he been spitting like that. Like he been saying the real deal about the hood, about the culture, about coming up. So when you listening to somebody that's spitting it for real, and I'm from an era where you want to listen to, you know what I'm saying, basically somebody that has not only can rap, but you want to look at them as an artist, as a real person. Like I come from an era where if the person is different from the music, like you can't even, that's fake. You know what I'm saying? I don't even deal with that. Nowadays, you can just listen to the music and the artist can be whatever. That's not the era I come from. You know what I'm saying? But it's a long history though between the people I mentioned, you know what I'm saying? And the dynamics with them, even in Atlanta, BMF, it's a long history. So if you're not plugged into that, you didn't understand that, then you probably may not understand what I'm saying. But for people who know, then you know what I'm saying? And so Jake, somebody you respected, somebody, if you hustling around, you wanted to use his life example as like, you don't see no weird stories with him. You don't hear about no crazy stuff going on with Jake. You know what I'm saying? Not from the stuff you would hear like with ID. Man, that boy didn't did enough. All right. I respect his positive slide, but he did enough. All right. I'm telling you. And I'm not even going to talk about that on this video. I'm going to keep it G on this one. I'm going to do this a whole nother one. But, that boy was a real cocaine cowboy. I mean, for real, like put that on his headstone. Like he died. That's who he was. That's what he was. You know what I'm saying? And I think I commend him for trying to do different and trying to set a different path. You know what I'm saying? Of trying to. I think that's sincere. But at the same time, if you was in the street and you knew what was going on, you just wouldn't. You wasn't trying to be like Ira Dorsey, bro. And that's just 100. All right. But so the politics, you know what I'm saying? All of these guys, and I don't know where MC Breed would have stood politically. I don't know. Maybe some of his people could maybe talk about MC Breed's political dealings, because I would like to know because he was in Atlanta, and you get outside of Flint, you maybe can see things, you get exposed to things different. Like in Atlanta, they way more Republican and more conservative, you know what I'm saying? Like openly, they're not just blocked in Democrat, you know what I'm saying? Like in Flint, where a Democrat's been running everything for 80 years, you know what I'm saying? 60 years. So at the end of the day, I would love to know MC Breed's politics, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Somebody can speak up from his family and maybe speak on that, you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure it's a couple people that probably can give some insight on that, you know what I'm saying? But I was really disheartened to hear JAKEAFELLA, Jake the Flake, speak so adamantly about progressivism and Democrats. You know what I'm saying? Like he started to talk about, of course, this is outcry, this is why he's doing it. But then he's not objective at all. And I've talked to objectives, real certified pimps, like Dr. Ivy, Ken Ivy. He's somebody that I talked to about politics. I think I talked to Ken Ivy, who, you know him as Pimpin' Ken, for about an hour or two over the phone just about politics, bro. And he had a very objective approach to it, understanding both flaws, because both parties had Dixiecrats and both parties have been against blacks and have been hostile towards African Americans. Let's just be real. Ever since Reconstruction, bro. And they got the radical Republicans out the way. Research radical Republicans. That's going to tell you everything you need to know about people who fought for us. Abraham Lincoln fought for us, and obviously they killed him. You know what I'm saying? But just overall, Republicans and Dr. Ken Ivy knew this. The Republican Party is not the party of the KKK. They're not the party of Jim Crow. Historically, they're not. They're the party of the proclamation, the Emancipation Proclamation. That's who they are. Emancipation Proclamation. That's exactly the party. We're about freedom, free men. So that's what Republicans were built on. Now we know this modern party. I'm against it. I'm a grassroots Republican and conservative that was elected in. I'm not for the elitism, the rich, just taking over, and I'm not for nepotism and people just recycling the same, family members. And I believe absolute power corrupts. But when you look at the differences in parties, you got to have somebody that has a real good political IQ. I don't think Jake the Flake has a real good political IQ. I think he has a very low IQ. I don't think he's gamed up when it comes to this. You know what I'm saying? He can't put the pimp in politics, bro. He ain't the one to do it. When you talk to him and you hear him out, he's spitting a lot of what he believe, his opinion, but he's not intelligent when it comes to politics. And I'm just putting it down. I would love to have a conversation with him. I would love to discuss this with him. We know direct people. I've sent certain messages through people that directly know him. You know what I'm saying? But I've always kind of just, I'm not a fan. I ain't a groupie. I ain't never been that type of guy. So if we don't really run across each other for real, like, then I don't really plug in with you. You know what I'm saying? I probably wouldn't tap in, but we know of each other. But I listen to him, and I don't think he's politically savvy. And I even have other motives on why I think he's giving out, this very bogus, this ain't the time to rebel, basically tuck your tail and just do what you told on a Democrat plantation and be quiet. Like, I think in reality, the feds is on him. That's it. He got the feds on him. We know his little man Cliff Mack then got indicted. And by the way, since y'all want to talk about Republicans, y'all need to thank former Governor Rick Snyder, because his legal team is the ones who dismantled that one indictment rule that helped Cliff Mack case. Now, Cliff Mack may have some favor in that area of the whole indictment, but he facing bodies and alleged bodies. You feel what I'm saying? Allegedly. So he got a whole nother problem, you know what I'm saying, going on. But when it comes to that one person indictment, yeah, Rick Snyder was indicted on that too. So Cliff Mack and Rick Snyder both was indicted on the same indictment law, and it was found to be unconstitutional. Yeah, put that out there, Jake. If you're gonna talk about that, put that out there. He helped your man case, you know what I'm saying? But I think he know the feds is on him, so he can't talk and be too politically riled up at this moment. You know what I'm saying? Because the feds on him. And this is not exclusive information. This is what he told other people in the public in his own music, that he know the feds is on him. Cost $50,000 to fight a Fed case. This stuff he didn't say it, and I think it's true. And that just kind of go to show you, we got to get away from the gatekeepers mentality where we just told by this person and influenced by this celebrity or that personality who to vote for, who not to vote for. You got to be intelligent enough, have your own political intelligence to go and know what to do and what not to vote for. I never voted for Obama, so you just know that off top. Never. And I wish I really wouldn't have voted for them other people because they didn't really help, but I was basing my stuff on values and principles and policies that I know helps. Limited government, Second Amendment, and then even in the interview with the 810 News Media Group, bro, you actually are advocating for gun control, Jake. Like, come on, bro. You advocating for gun control when we know you always strapped up. Like, that's hypocritical, bro. And if you ain't strapped up, you with people who is strapped up and you got access to straps. So that's hypocritical for you to try to even go on that route, knowing that it's not the gun issue of itself that's the problem, bro. It's how people choose to settle their differences and go about things. But having more gun control, limiting the law-abiding citizen from having firearms, that don't help us. That don't help us at all. And that's hypocritical to even advocate for that, as you did in that interview. You know what I'm saying? And then one of the other things that like I said, Governor Snyder, his legal team helped Cliff Mack chances of the whole indictment, but he dealing with a whole nother slew of charges that ain't got nothing to do with just that one indictment rule. But you're talking about too, the reason there's no change in the inner city, the reason there's no change in places like Flint, because they ask you directly, well, Flint has been the same way basically since you've been here, since you've been gone. Like, it's been the same way. And your response was because we don't have control of the Senate and the House. And thankfully somebody corrected you about how Obama had we had the House and the Senate. And but at the end of the day, bro, let's be real. When you're dealing with Flint, you're dealing with a whole different beast, legacy wise. You got gatekeepers on the black side. You got gatekeepers on the white side. You got people who've been in basically off of nepotism. They've been in office as congressmen for forever. Then when they get out of office, they go back to being a CEO of a nonprofit. We know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to say no. We know who I'm talking about. That is the definition of why there's problems and people don't get changed. We can't get new leaders. Now, the 7th Circuit District Court, there's a certain popular judge that people are going around, an African-American woman, and very popular. I've been on some campaign events where they were there. And I almost got on board with that. I'm like, yeah, maybe I should support this person. Until I got informed of the actual opponent, who's from Grand Blanc, who has a lot of the values that I align with, who I believe will not be beholden to the status quo, the political status quo, and the UAW and all the other political special interests. So this popular judge candidate that I'm talking about for the 7th District, that's from Flint, the African-American woman, she is so committed to so many political interests and special interests that guess what? By the time she get in office, she going to be controlled by that interest. And that's a big problem in Genesee County, in Flint, period, is that you got so much special interest that before you even get in office, they control the candidate. The candidate can't come out and be independent. They got to do and vote accordingly. They got to judge accordingly. And that is not what I represent. That's not what I fought for in Flint. I fought for Flint to be more diverse, to have more political discourse, to be able to have differences. And I don't like the status quo. I don't like special interests. And so that other candidate is who I'm going to support, and who I'm it may be an uphill battle. Maybe she might not get in, but I think she's the best candidate. That's from Grand Blanc. That's more, I think she is going to be, because she's not beholden to all these special interests. Okay, so, and you know who I am. I'm trying not to say names in this video because, I'm trying to be a little political correct to an extent. But at the end of the day, when you listen to somebody like JAKEAFELLA telling you basically Project 25, that, JAKEAFELLA telling you Project 25 and Trump, well, that was from an independent think tank and organization, conservative organization. Trump didn't write Project 25. So let's just talk about facts and truth. Trump didn't write that. He didn't have he never read, he's not involved in that. Now, are these policies and things that people may recommend? Absolutely. People recommend all type of things to political candidates. That don't mean that that's going to happen. And I'm not for Project 25. Okay, I even came out publicly and said if Trump went too far with the whole police immunity thing, I couldn't vote for him. I also went public saying I wasn't with the whole conspiracy thing about elections. I never said that the whole election was this or that. There was problems, serious problems, transparency problems, but I didn't get on that bandwagon about theft and elections and all that. No, because I felt rightfully so, whether I disagreed with Hillary Clinton back in 2016, that if she would have did a recount in Detroit, I think she could have dang near pulled that off. And if she didn't, she could have sued. She could have held things in limbo. She could have had her whole conspiracy movement. But somehow she did the right thing and took that L. And that said a lot. Now, she fought Trump and caused a whole lot of commotion. She ain't just sit back and concede. She fought and caused all type of problems. But I can say she didn't take that route. And that showed me, hey, you can make the right decision and do the right thing, you know what I'm saying, in face of partisan issues. So, again, JAKEAFELLA is not a political scientist. He ain't a real politically intelligent person. I would love to debate, talk, really just have a discussion, because I don't really have a reason. I don't have a bone really to pick with you. I just feel with all that hustle, all that grind, you actually have a business. You're a legitimate person. You know about accounting, you know about taxes, you know culturally, how policies benefit people and how you can lift yourself up through personal responsibility. So I don't understand why you don't see that there should be a little bit of a diversity in more of a middle ground, instead of just having one party having 95% of the vote and we get taken for granted like we've been taken for granted with Democrats. Again, I talked to Dr. Ken Ivey. We talked about this, and the man knows. I didn't even know he was that much of a scholar on politics. And he knew exactly, like he knew what I was saying. He knew exactly what was going on. And he understood that there's policies on both sides that can help us. And it ain't until you really get all them policies that work for us that it really works. And that's really more of a balance and independence. All right. But he knew the truth about the Republican Party. He knew the truth about the Democrats. He wasn't just pushing Democrats. And like I say, if you believe in the Democrat Party and progressivism so much, move yourself back to Flint. I know you had houses and was in between, but come to Flint, stay to Flint. Don't go back to Texas, because you know Texas is a red state. Dallas is a red city. So, you know what I'm saying? To me, it's hypocritical to live under something that is so different. They all about Second Amendment. They all about limited government. They all about, free open markets and free society commercially. But then you want to act like these other policies, because of cultural identity, is better for us. It's like a house Negro basically convincing you something is right because they still in that area. They're a house Negro. So I guess that's what I'm saying. Really, in that area politically, Jake is still a house Negro. He ain't never been off the plantation. He's never politically evolved. So all that hustle, all that grind, as much as I respected JAKEAFELLA in the hood, and I knew I had to go hard in the hood and stay on my grind and do what I had to do to work out and get out, guess what? This man is a full-fledged progressive Democrat. And he's not even doing it out of real, he say he informed and he do his research, bro. But identity-wise, he's that, bro, because that's all he know. And I don't blame him. I even blame some of the Republicans because, and this is why we've made ethnic and minority outreach. I was the ethnic vice chair. It was my job, because we had left a whole generations of black people for the last 30, 40, 50, 60 years with one party, and that's all they know. So they don't trust Republicans. They don't trust Republicans. They don't know what Republicans are. They don't know. Same thing with the Jewish thing right now. People don't know a Jew. They don't never been around, so they can easily get lied to and be persuaded to be anti-Semitic or believe blood libables about Jews, or they run this and they do this and they racist, like Dr. Umar tried to say on my sister page from Flint. How can you say Jews are racist? You know what I'm saying? And don't care about black people. Really? You know how many Jews have helped me and my family, bro? I'm talking about real paper, real life and death situations, real situations, bro. Has helped me. You know what I'm saying? In America, Michigan, and in Israel. So I'm just saying, a lot of this has a lot to do with cultural exposure. A lot of it has a lot to do with whether or not you've been around certain things. And it took for me to get out of Flint to see a lot of things, but I was already an independent thinker when I was in Flint. So I was still on this type of time even when I was there. And I wasn't going to say this, but I might as well say it on this interview. There's a reason not Isaiah, but I love Isaiah Thomas, but Magic Johnson, because those are two of my favorite players. But Magic Johnson is one of my favorite athletes, one of my favorite basketball players. But there's a reason the Democrat Party is bringing him into Flint. There's a reason, and it's something that's directly connected to me that I wasn't even aware of at that time. I now know because it's being used politically as a bargaining chip. But previously, I married into basically the Johnson family. The Johnson family is in Lansing area. You know what I'm saying? They're here, lovely family, but they're highly progressive and Democrat. Well, the person I was married to at the time, sister is a Johnson. She married one of the Johnsons, right? Now, I didn't know who he was. I'm going to say his name, Robert, just to get it out there. Robert Johnson. He's like a doctor or something now. He was in his residency when I first met him. And, I'm dating a younger sister, so I don't know if they expected us to follow them or to be influenced by them, but that's not me. I'm my own man. I don't know who you are. I don't know nothing about the Johnson family. I know I'm a Giles. And I know I got hustle and grind and grit and God favor me. And I didn't know nothing about them. But then people began to tell me like, oh, that's a Johnson. That's the Magic Johnson family. And at that time, I was on my grind, just came back from apprenticeship in Arlington, Virginia. I had really just started getting into my Republican roots. I had a Stanford classmate at George Washington University where I was staying in D.C. because I lived in D.C. too. A lot of people don't know that. I went there for work, went there for school. And when I came back, you know, we're voting in Flint because I'm living in Flint at the time. And we're in Selby Hood at the precinct that we go to. And they're voting. The person I'm with, you know, at the time is voting Republican. You know what I'm saying? My wife at the time is voting Republican. And they know this. So there's a problem. These are like staunch Democrats, bro. Like they don't, and culturally and tribally wise, you cannot do nothing the opposite politically if you from Flint or you from the black community. Man, they will outcast you. They will try to come against you. And I did not know that this was a big issue with Carl, who was also a Democrat. So they did not like the Republican thing. And this stuff got back to these people. And ever since, Magic Johnson been popping himself up in politics locally in Michigan and been doing this ever since I got involved in the political scene. And I still say, you know, it doesn't hurt to have different family members that believe in different things. So whenever you got a group think and everybody just wants you to think tribally, that's not okay. That's abuse. You don't need to be a part of that. You know what I'm saying? But they made that hell. And they still using it to this day, Magic Johnson, and trying to bring him in to convince. How can Magic Johnson convince black men to doing anything? When is he actually even with black men anyway? Or Obama? You know, it's what they're doing is kind of like what Joe Biden did, saying if you ain't black, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. What they're saying is if you don't vote for Kamala, who ain't even a real African-American woman, like in the hood African-American, like Michelle. Kamala Harris is not Michelle Obama. I love Michelle Obama. And I disagree with her statements at the DNC about rich people and being skeptical of rich people and people who want more than enough and all of this, or that, you know, no, more than what they need. I'm against them statements. That's socialist statements, communist statements, straight up. And JAKEAFELLA will never talk about that type of stuff. But Kamala Harris, just like Janet Jackson said, she ain't black. I'm riding with the queen. Look, I'm with Janet Jackson. Who gonna debate Janet Jackson? Who gonna cancel Janet Jackson? She said she ain't black, so it is what it is. All right. So I'm sorry, we get the wool pulled over our eyes every single election, man. It seemed like, and I've been tired of it. I stand against that. So people like Jake who want to influence people. Love your music, but I just think, you know, when it comes to politically, you're not a politically intelligent person. You don't have a high political IQ. That's just how I feel about it. You know what I'm saying? And again, they will use in politics your personal life, your family, your friends. They will use anything to try to co-opt you. You know what I'm saying? To try to cause division. They'll try to break up your marriage, your home. They will do all type of stuff to try to make sure you are a Negro that stay in line with whatever type of group think that they want you to have. And I rebelled against it. I've never been that type of person. And when my family, the Winfrey family, already being, for people who don't know, already so politically in Flint, so political high, like Obama greeted my grandmother on her 100th birthday, like directly. Obama did. Like I was there. I witnessed it. You know what I'm saying? So that let me know then, like, man, my uncle, he high up in the totem pole. But my uncle, in my opinion, and I'm going to do a separate video because I want people to know how I feel about my uncle. And I want people to know that there's it's never been real animosity or blood in our family. But when politics got in and everybody started having their own political identity, that did cause problem. And it's been a problem ever since. And I'm okay with that. Let me be who I am because I ain't going to be ever what you want me to be. And I'm okay with that forever, for life, to the grave. You know what I'm saying? And if it's up, it's stuck. And it's just, that's what it's going to be. But I'm going to talk about those things. And I'm going to talk about a lot of the dynamics. And, you know, even your own family can politically target you. And my uncle was directly the type that, you know, really didn't want people to think outside the box. And I think they held people back for so long, you know, basically till before Woodrow Stanley died, that I think they seen how bad it was. So with Karen Weaver, she represents something new. She reaches out to everybody, you know. She even when she do the little stuff with Isaiah, man, I'm not against that, you know. Again, people play politics all the time. But Karen Weaver does represent a new day. She represents being able to talk to everybody, Democrat and Republican. She want to talk to the community as a whole. I respect her enough for that, okay? And for that, I've always say I'll stand with her. And I'll also say too, despite my political difference with Neely, Sheldon Neely, who's the current mayor, don't believe everything people say bad about him. He's Flint. Like, he's really from Flint, bro. Like, you probably couldn't have a better Flintstonian to be running stuff. Now, did he compromise? I think he did. And it has everything to do with the governor, okay, of Michigan, of why things is so much turmoil and people fighting each other and people getting politically targeted. And it's just a lot of stuff. It's politics, though. All right. They want to take over Flint. And unfortunately, they got to have people locally that know how to help them do it. You know, and they chose him. And, you know, everybody got to make their own bed politically. Do I think what Sheldon Neely is doing, nobody else would do? Absolutely not. I think everybody else probably would be in this position would do the same thing. I wouldn't do it because that's just not the type of person I am. That's not my personality. But a lot of other people would make the same political decisions as Sheldon Neely. So, you know what I'm saying? Just to be fair. And I don't owe him nothing. You know what I'm saying? His best friend who helps Edward is my old probation officer when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? This to tell you on probation from this guy, and he was extremely strict on me too. He almost sent me back to the juvenile home. I had 6 months of probation left, man. This man gave me another 6 months, dog. I was like, man, this is the hardest black man. But you know what? I thank him for that because that he taught me discipline. And he was an example of a real strong, intelligent black man. I wish you could clone him and just put him all throughout the judicial system because he was good for me. He was not bad. He was a good guy. He was a good man for me. And he helped me. He showed me discipline. He let me know not to be a knucklehead out here. You don't need to be a certain way. But then to see him and be meeting politics, that was really, really, really something. You know what I'm saying? That was satisfying for me. Talking about Clyde Edwards, if you know, that's, you know, he's an accounting guy. He's helped. I think I don't know if he was a city administrator for Sheldon Neely, but that's his best friend. He was my old probation officer. A lot of people don't know that. So again, JAKEAFELLA, I listened to the interview. Even when you talk about interest rates, again, I got a lot of the notes up here, and I'm only talking about the stuff that really stood out. You didn't talk about the Fed interest rate cuts. You don't, so you don't talk, if you're going to talk economics, supply and demand, which you were right on supply and demand. But you're not talking about the policies that help bridge inflation, like going against drilling in the pipeline, the different pipeline, Keystone pipeline that came through Canada and other places in the country where they shut down drilling. You're not talking about that. That actually directly help impact inflation. So there's actual policies that help bring inflation, and he's not talking about that. Okay. So just overall, Jake, it just, again, I think the Fed's on him. So he don't want to talk. He don't want to politically shuffle things. He want to just basically, he can't afford to be politically disruptive at the moment. You know what I'm saying? It's because cultural identity wise, he's never evolved politically. And the Fed's on him, you know what I'm saying? And he don't want to shake the boat. So he going to come in and going to try to, I remember when he said something so disrespectful while he talking about Trump having nicknames for people and not being presidential. He's the guy that said he would piss in President Trump's mouth and actually put up an actual icon of it, like a meme of it. And I said, man, that's gangster as hell. That's gangster, but dog, bro. That's terrible, bro. Like that's just a bad image, bad imagery, bro. So at the same time, you criticizing Trump about his nickname and name calling, and you talking about you a piss in Trump mouth. So come on, bro. That ain't gangster. Like, that's not, you hypocritical when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying? And that ain't cool. You know what I'm saying? When you portraying one thing and then you doing something else. You know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't intelligent. That's not informing people. That's not giving people the real, nuts and bolts of this thing. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, just basically, saying that, the Republicans are basically the problem for everything. Bro, do you understand Republicanism in and of itself, bro? The actual policies, limited government, meaning the more limit the government is over you, the less oppressive you are. So you talked about oppression in your interview. If you are concerned about oppression, then you should be for limited government. Limited government with the FBI, the IRS, people overtaxing you. Okay, that's all you would be for limited government. If you really for freedom, you want people to be free off the plantations of the Democrat and Republican Party. Then you're talking about rights of protection, protecting your family. Like during COVID, or if there was riots, you don't have rights to, in some cases, they limit your capacity to 10 rounds. You can't even have certain AR-15s in certain states, and certain things they've went on that extreme gun ban. How can you protect and defend your family? And then just look at what happened in Israel during the whole invasion. Innocent people were targeted, and they didn't have no protection. And Israel is one of the highest gun control areas. They know what they're doing now. They just put 9,000 rifles in northern Israel, and they arming their people. Total different policy. And they're at war now, obviously, but guarantee those policies would have helped when that happened, if they would have been able to protect themselves. In fact, there was a quote, I don't know if it was Warren Buffett or somebody, said that the reason America is not invaded, like let's say Israel was invaded in Gaza, the way that Hamas invaded, Israel from Gaza. They said because they know that it's a gun or a rifle behind every blade of grass. This is what they said about why America is not invaded. So we got to think at a different level, when it comes to a lot of stuff. Thinking about investments, there's policies that Democrats want to put wealth tax. They want to put profit and gain tax on stocks. So for everybody that's into crypto, everybody that's into, buying stocks and bonds through, different avenues, guess what? Well, when they get in office, they're going to be taxing you from hustling and saving and buying stocks and bonds and in crypto. They even want to regulate crypto. Okay. It's just so much when it comes to policies that shape your life, that will help you empower yourself versus being dependent on the government. Like in Flint, it's a big thing. Everybody think about grants. Everybody want a grant. Everybody want the government, the grant. Guess what? Grants is not real economic empowerment. Grants are not real economic stability and long-term durability. Okay? Entrepreneurship is. Small business is. So if you don't have that type of understanding, then you don't know about economic policy. You know what I'm saying? Small businesses is 97% of the employment. And then Kamala is trying to have a tax plan to tax and have different things in place to tax employers, small businesses, that will make like their employment law and things like that way more complicated, and tax small businesses in a way that would basically help put them out of business. And then it was Democrats who handled, how they targeted and handled COVID economically, how they shut down everything when they know it should have been targeted. They know it should have been, isolated, and maybe things could have been done differently. But that whole economic fiasco, that wasn't Trump. Trump didn't do that. And they trying to say he mishandled it. Look, I disagree. Totally disagree. All right. So these are just some of the things that you got to look at when you're talking about the difference between a Republican and a Democrat. Okay. And then I will even say George Washington warned us that that political parties would actually be a problem, that they would actually be a divisive force to the people. So I'm really for people just learning policy, learn government, learn civics, learn how to vote, learn what your vote means, learn how to lobby, learn how to be an activist for right policies, and don't just do what your party wants you to do. Don't just do what other people want you to do. Don't have group tribal mentality. You got to know what's best for you in your home. We all know redlining has hurt the inner city, and it's one reason why investments and things like that are not in. So all the suburban areas compete with the inner city. So as long as they can keep draining resources and keeping investments going into the suburbs, they'll never come to the inner city. And if they don't have a different change of leadership for business and pro-entrepreneurialism, then guess what? They'll never get those businesses. They'll never get that investment. And if you don't have a change in leadership that they trust with their investment and their money, guess what? You're not going to get it. So the inner cities won't change because there's not a policy change and there's not a change in leadership of people that are different. I mean, even if we just had 50% of a different leadership that was not connected to the status quo, or the Democrat Party in Flint, you know how much change we can make? You know how they would have to fight with each other to come up with the best policies and solutions? But we don't. We have pretty much a one-party rule, and it's been that way in Flint. And it's totally different from Swartz Creek, Davidson, and everywhere else. And you're talking 30 minutes away that I am from Flint. You know what I'm saying? And I've been away, but I've worked. I've been there. I've done a lot. But, you know, for wellness purposes, I stayed away because I've lost so many people to fentanyl and so many people that for me to be healthy and move forward, I got to stay away from that because that bothers me. You know what I'm saying? When you lost, you know, the closest people OD in a mama living room. Somebody gave them some bad dope. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, like this stuff is then people being okay with just immigration. They okay with just anything coming over the border. Well, guess what? You help the cartels bring it in. You help them do that. You know, you help supporting these people do this stuff. You know, you got to look at that. The fentanyl, nearly within like 6 years, you're talking about nearly 1 million people. It's over 100,000 deaths a year across economic lines, ethnicities, the whole nine. I never heard JAKEAFELLA mention that. I mean, even he got a rap son that talk about how we ain't no dope, ain't no real dope out here, how they sell cut. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, bro, like, I think you got your own personal agenda and your own lack of, again, your own ignorances and your own lack of political elevation and political intelligence of why you don't. I think you need to take a class out of Dr. Ken Ivey, bro, on politics. I don't think you know it the way you think you know it. And I think you limited yourself and you're not going to reach your full potential doing that. You know what I'm saying? And that's just square business. I love to talk to you about it. Mean no disrespect, but I'm a keep it G with you. Like, from one G to another, bro, you got the feds on you. You know it. So you can't disrupt things politically. And you not politically involved, bro. So all the hustling, all the gangsterism, all the pimpish, bro, you not a pimp when it comes to politics, bro. You not pimpish at all. So, you know, that's just the truth of it. You know what I'm saying? And that's just facts. Just facts. And neither is Ira Dorsey. You know, he running around with different political candidates, and that's cool. But nobody don't really, you know, he don't move nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think all these guys need to take a real political, you know, a political course and foundation for what they believe and not just believe whatever. Like, in fact, if y'all really want to do some things, go and look up the platforms of both parties, even religious freedom. That's a big component of the Republican Party versus the Democrat Party. You know what I'm saying? So you had war, everything when Biden came in, high inflation, war, just all type of stuff going on. Trump was in for 4 years. How can you compare? This is something else Jake did. How can you compare what Kamala is going to do when what her policies and what she helped Joe Biden do has the things at the state that we're in right now? And you're not looking at that? How deceptive is that, bro? What type of mind games you playing? Like, what type of gaslighting are you doing that you want people to believe what we're living through and experiencing is not a reflection of Kamala Harris and her policies? She voted for some of the things, the inflationary acts. She was the tie-breaking vote for policies that help bring inflation and prevent different policies from shaking forth in energy, in the areas of energy that will help better things. And it helped cause inflation with Joe Biden. And they lied about the whole deceptiveness about how he was and how well he was. They lied to the people. So you talk about Trump lying. I'll say all these politicians be lying. Question is, what are they going to do? And we at least got 4 years. We can say we know, like Jadakiss said, Obama gave him cell phone. What he say? He said Trump gave him 1,200. Obama gave him cell phones. So when you look at the tangibles, and Trump don't come from a racist background. You know what I'm saying? Kamala and Joe Biden they both come from racist backgrounds. He was actually a segregationist. He helped lock up black people, and Kamala Harris. For real. And she's even said on record, she ain't doing nothing for just one group. She ain't doing nothing just for black people. That's what Kamala Harris said. So I'm just letting you know, I think you got a personal agenda and vendetta for why you saying what you saying. You know, I'll never wish them folks on nobody, obviously. you know, to be ready in season, out of season, but you know, you got them people on you. So you don't want to shake up nothing politically, bro. Let's be real. The Fed's on you. Fed's on you, so you can't politically shake up nothing. You gonna go with the status quo right now. You can't say nothing, and you not politically evolved. All your hustling, all your moving, you in Texas that give you a blueprint for how things is better. Dallas is a perfect example. They got a Republican mayor, and you sitting up here talking about liberalism and the Democrat Party. Negro, move your butt back up to Michigan then. Go move on Dayton, and let's see how your politics help you. They won't, and you know that. I know that, because we both lived in them environments and had to climb out, and we both appreciate the finer things in life and better way of living, and you know there's a big difference from where you live and where Dayton Ave is. It's a big difference. And shout out to Juantez Davis, who understands economics in the hood. He understands you got to have economic growth. Without that, what can you do? And that is more of a Republican concept, but it's not really exclusive to Republicanism. Having good, strong economics, that's human nature. You gotta have livelihood. If your livelihood is cut, guess what? Your choice is to be in the streets. And that's maybe what people like. They've been taking advantage of our people by them being low propensity voters, low educated voters, people who could be manipulated. And many people have profited off of them type of people, period. And I'm just letting you know that. People in the streets profit off of it. So they don't want people to elevate. They don't really want people to be delivered. They don't really want people to change. So these are the type of things that when you look at people telling you who to vote for, you got to consider why they telling you that. It's the feds on them. Are they scared? That's why they tucking their tail, and they don't want to really speak truth to the powers to be, to tell them for real how they holding us down. You know Trump ain't nobody that's finna mess with hold black people back. And he already proved that. $500 billion is what he had set away for the economic plan. Okay, and he had the whole through Tim Scott, the tax benefits and the opportunity zones in the inner city. Dr. Ben Carson from Detroit with the HUD and Housing Commission, who brung $15 million, by the way, to Flint. Who brung in that much money to the Flint Housing Commission? The Republican did. I got the check. Go ask Karen Weaver. I just talked to Dr. Ben Carson about the check he brung to Dr. Karen Weaver for the Flint Housing Commission. $15 million, $15 million. So let's talk for real. Let's talk turkey. Let's really discuss the policies and let's really get down to it. Culturally and identity wise, you don't know nothing but the Democrat Party. And that's all you know. Like a hoe that ain't never had nothing but one pimp, and that's all she know, nigga. That's all you know is the Democrat Party, nigga. You getting pimped by the Democrats. And I feel bad because you a world-renowned gangster, nigga. You know you are. And how you gonna just go and give in to these people like that? That shit embarrassing, bro. And you from Flint. So I'm not finna let you just say that and cap like that and put that out there like Flint represent everything you say. Nigga, I don't represent what you say. And I stumped in the same grounds you stumped in. Man, forget what people say. This internet ain't for everything. People who know, they know. You know what I'm saying? For real. But you portraying and saying something that ain't right. Leave people to be independent. Let them think for themselves. You know, educate them on the issues. You know what I'm saying? For real. Educate them on the issues. You know, but I agree with you on the Haitian statements. I'm with Haiti. You know, first place that beat the colonizers. They've been suffering ever since because of that. You know what I'm saying? The statements and rhetoric from Trump about, you know, change from Latin people to more Africans in the Congo. I agree with you on that. But he also called out the terrorists in Yemen and the ones that's down in Hamtramck. You know, and I get it. A lot of my people got issues, you know what I'm saying, with me being a Zionist, and I'm for the Jewish population. But I'm going to stand on what I believe in because that's the Bible, bro. Yeah, Jesus was a Jew. Yeshua was a Jew. So you can't get around that. The whole Bible is Jewish. That Bible you read from all the time, which I told you need to get a Messianic Hebraic Bible. But the Bible you read from all the time, them Jews you reading from. Jews you reading from. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Get a little passionate when I deal with this because I just be like, man, this dude, all the world-renowned accolades, how much I respect dude, how he really was stumped down when I was really back that way. He was one of the people that I looked up to. Like I looked up in the sense of knowing, like, you know, he's more so felt, even though he ain't seen in the hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, even back then, you knew about him because in his music, he would be coming up, popping up. You would hear about different things. And it's just like, we know his presence always been around, but at the same time, you're not really helping the people up and giving them the right game. You're not giving them the right information, because then they could elevate and maybe make some different decisions, bro. You know, not the same decisions. Black people been voting Democrat 95% of the time, bro. Anytime you vote for one party like that, what other race do that? Only us. And we get taken for granted from it, bro. Took it for granted. It's how people been laid down in Flint. We don't have no political change, no political discourse, none of that. You know what I'm saying? So I said a whole lot on this video, and it's a lot more that I could say, you know what I'm saying? But I really want to nail that home. You know what I'm saying? JAKEAFELLA is not a political scientist. He ain't somebody who I think you should just listen to, you know, hands down. You know what I'm saying? And I've caught the shade. You know, you've said some things in your music, you know, that I know directly was directed at me. You know, we know that. I know that. And it's cool. I still listen to your music. You know what I'm saying? I still love the whole everything that you stand for, except the politics part. I think you really need to elevate, bro. Yeah, if MC Breed was around, who would he be voting for? I'm sorry, I don't think Breed wasn't that type of nigga, boy. He wasn't that type of ninja. He wasn't just gonna follow the crowd, boy. I think Breed would be voting for Trump. Yeah, I think MC Breed would be voting for Trump. Yeah, Corey Wilson, my brother, Talisha James would be voting for Trump. I think a whole lot of people voting for Trump. You know what I'm saying? And they understand what he been through. Shout out to the West Side, East Side, Street Lords, Cheddar Boys. They voting for Trump. G-Rock voting for Trump. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's just real deal. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of street politics playing. But every election cycle in my hometown, it heats up. And we about a couple weeks out. It's only going to continue within the next couple weeks, next couple days. It's going to keep getting intense. Trump is going to be in Detroit. He'll be here. I think if it's not tomorrow, within the next couple of days, you know what I'm saying, I'll be sharing the event. I've already went and seen Trump when he was here. I've seen him several times. So, you know what I'm saying, I'm not really, you know, I don't have to go see him. But if you haven't been to a rally, whether you support him or not, you should go. Go hear him out. Go listen to him. You know, before Jake would even put out the type of interview, why don't you come and meet him? Like, I can try to arrange for you to meet President Trump. Former President Trump. Why don't you come meet with some of his people? Let's try to talk about the differences in areas where we can make a difference. You know, we can help arrange that. You know what I'm saying? Let's try to influence the political scene, you know what I'm saying, versus just come out of our own partisan views and our own partisan limitations in just saying certain things that we ain't quite educated on. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, man. But yeah, man, you ain't pimping when it come to politics, bro. Ken Ivory got you on that one, bro. I talked to him. He's sharp on that. He knows what he's talking about with a lot of the politics, bro. And whether he's for, you know, whether Dr. Ken Ivory, Pimpin' Ken is for Trump or not, I know I talked to him on real critical issues, and he know the truth about them issues, bro. And I brung you up. I mentioned you to him, you know what I'm saying, just out of respect, because, you know, where we from, and I because of the regard, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you ain't pimping, bro, when it come to politics, period. You know what I'm saying? Like, you not. And, you know, it's sad because I listen to you, and it's like the brother just ain't educated. And you the type, probably, if we sat down and talk, you probably wouldn't understand, because you're not open to understand it. It's a part of your mentality. Like, you know, you eat, you know what I'm saying? You be a certain way, you condition in the hood, bro, you gonna be that way. And that's how a lot of people they identify with the Democrat Party. That's all they know. My grandma used to tell me, vote Democrat because I can get something. But you don't just vote for somebody just because of what you can get necessarily. When you talk about government handouts, that's other people tax money. But let's talk about policies, people who gonna shape a lane where you could pick yourself up and you can go out and build certain things, and you can get tax credits, and they all can do better for the people. Better tax credits for childcare, better tax credit for businesses. You know, it's so many things that they could do to help. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. Wanted to respond to your interview. Wanted to make sure I said what was on my heart about it and talk about some of the dynamics, you know what I'm saying, about things. And I'll come back again, but I want to make sure I put that out there. Lawless, one of my favorite songs, bro. You know, is gangster, and it's that way, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I think people need to vote for Trump. Mike Tyson voting for Trump, and it is what it is. It's a lot of people voting for Trump. You know what I'm saying? I think he the best candidate. You know, I'm not a mega Trump supporter. I'm not a mega person. I think RFK, when I went seeing him in Dearborn, was pretty much saying that the mega is talking about the Kennedy movement. That's what that represents. Make America Great Again. He was talking about the era of the Kennedys. You know what I'm saying? And I represent the Kennedys too. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that's about. But I'm not a mega supporter. You know what I'm saying? I support him because I supported him in business before. You know what I'm saying? I supported him in business. So, you know, I'm not against that. And then for somebody that's been targeted by police who been through the struggle, like for you to talk about him being a criminal, bro, like, I mean, that's deep, bro. To think of the psychology of how you actually lockstep walking with these people and talking for them and talking they talking points. That ain't gangster, boy. That ain't pimping at all. That's crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? That cause you know certain stuff. But again, if some people got something on somebody, the feds on them, they politically ain't involved, they gonna tuck their tail. They not gonna tell you the truth. They're not gonna stand on business. They're not gonna tell you what's right. They're not gonna tell you to go against the grain. They're gonna tell you a bunch of lies. They're gonna tell you what's comfortable. They're gonna tell you maybe even where their limitations. Maybe he think that's really the right decision, but it's not. Black people been voting Democrat for forever, man. We ain't never voted our way up off nothing. And that's sad, bro. So that's my word. That's what I stand on. You know what I'm saying? If I think of anything else from the interview or something else I come up on, I'm sure there's other points I could have hit. But at the end of the day, I think I hit the ones that I really felt stuck out. And I just, you know, how you just representing for somebody like that ain't even really in the paint for us. The woman said she ain't doing nothing for just black people. She said it. I ain't doing nothing for just one group of people. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris got in office the first day they signed a bill for the Asians, the Asian legislation. They got legislation the first day. African Americans didn't get nothing. Dr. Umar was clear on that. He's one of the biggest people that advocated for that. That of how hypocritical, how bad that was, that we don't get nothing. We just sit up here, tell our people to vote Democrat, think the Democrats is going to be our savior. Truth of the matter, none of these government people are going to be our savior. We got to know how to get the tools and build our world, bro. Build our homes, build our communities. Yeah, that's what we got to do that way.